episode 3 of Psychotic Pussy. We don't have a theme song yet, but we will.
We'll talk more about how our mother decided that we should have paid to get one done. She's always trying to micromanage us. Anyway.
Did she say that?
She was like, I know a guy. He does them for anniversaries. I'm like, this is a little different, but thank you.
So she thinks we have jingle money. That is crazy.
Yeah, she really does. And of course, in true Jerry fashion, she's like, I know a guy for real cheap. He'll do a good job. I'm like, no, Mom. Stay away from this. Okay.
All right, kick us off.
Kick us off. Alrighty. So we wanted to talk about the negative impacts of social media on mental health and physical health. We've both seen it in our own, fields a lot. So I thought this was the perfect time, since this past March, actually, the U.S. House passed the bill that the United States would be banning TikTok nationwide if the China-based owner doesn't sell its stake. This is due to lawmakers' concern that the company's current ownership structure is a national security threat. So we're kind of all as a nation watching this unfold live, and I guess we will see what happens. So with TikTok, we'll dive into that. With TikTok kind of being the number one app for quite some time now, I feel like it got its height beginning of COVID. It became very popular because people were isolated, but it felt like they had a way to feel connected. Do you guys think it's too much on our youth? I personally have seen the negative impacts of social media in my clients and even in my own life, honestly. I've seen it cause negative body image issues, low self-esteem in my clients. It's also causing the clients to diagnose themselves online. I think right now I've seen an increase in a lot of people saying, oh, due to this TikTok person or this person on Instagram even, I know I have this diagnosis, this, and this. And they come to me and I'm like, whoa. Slow down. First of all, let's not diagnose ourselves. Very dangerous. And number two, just because someone online said something doesn't make it true. Like first of all, what are their credentials? What did they go to school for? Do they have the proper licensure and certification and clinical hours? And these are all things people don't really know, because people, they get online and they present themselves well. They're great talkers. They're smooth talkers. And they do sound like they know what they're talking about. So these people just kind of fall into this trap and think, oh my God, I do have this, or I am narcissistic, or I do have DPD. And I'm like, okay, hold on, people. We actually have to, diagnose properly here. But, for me, and other therapists, I'm sure, we have to combat this all the time. We're like, let's first of all, let's do the intake. Let's do the proper intake, and let's see what is really going on here, not just what you got off of, your online coach or guru. And I will say, I'm not knocking coaches. Some coaches do have proper certifications, because even though they didn't go to school, they figure, all right, like I really want to get good at this field, and there is this training on it, and I'm going to get it. I'm going to get certified so I know what I'm talking about. So like I said, I'm not knocking all coaches, but I will say, for me, I have seen a majority of the coaches are kind of frauds, and they're kind of talking out their,
Ooh, hot take.
I'm sorry. Like I said, they don't have the proper education, clinical training, and it really makes a difference. So what I will say as my little disclaimer here is, if you just be careful, take what they say with a grain of salt, and please, please, please seek a proper therapist or anyone with the right credentials. And for therapy, you can actually look up a therapist for you in your area through Psychology Today. No, this is not sponsored. It's just a way to find a good therapist that is a good match for you. And I encourage you to do so. And I do understand social media is not all bad. It allows us to form some connections and stay connected like never before. And some people are also now able to find support and community like they may never have had before, because they grew up in a small town. And
we're using social media technically right now. Like podcasts is a way of sharing information that we never previously had.
Correct. So again, I'm not here to completely bash it, but I'm just not going to ignore the negative, because there is negative, and maybe there's a better way we can go about this to make it safer for everyone,
Definitely. No, I completely agree.
Yeah. I don't want to completely ice out Bridget. So if you have anything on this topic before I continue, go for it.
No, I think this is like such a great topic, because it's something that like maybe is the whole boomers versus millennials versus Gen Z. Like they're like, oh, millennials are always on their computers, and we're like, no, like Gen Z like is they're iPad kids who grew up. Like I think it
Yes.
just highlights generational differences. You know what I actually love? Jennifer Garner. Yeah, that's her name. The one who was married to Affleck, right? Jennifer Garner. She has young teenagers, I believe. She has young-ish daughters, like tweens, and she does not allow them to have smartphones or like social media. And she says, "Show me one study that says social media is good for teens, and I'll sign my kids up." Just one study.
Right.
And that
No,
just
I
like
agree.
highlights, the multitude of information out there that's like, this is not good for your brain. So it's such
No,
an
I
interesting
agree.
topic because I think if you like have younger friends, because I'm born in 94, and I think technically it's
Mhm.
like 97 is Gen Z. So I have friends who are Gen Z. And if you like
Right.
speak, our brother is born in 99, but if you speak to
Yeah.
people who are younger than
Oh,
you, it's like it is
yeah.
so interesting to hear their opinion on it. They genuinely, a lot of them don't see how it has affected them. And it's like, we are so different. We're, 3 years apart in age, and we are like miles apart in the way we like view the world and interact with other people. And I think it has a lot to do with social media.
Oh, I 100% agree. I mean, so obviously you're 94, I'm 91, and I do think our brother is very different in the way he interacts with the world and people, and he just seems like he as if he grew up on the internet. And
Yeah.
I don't know how else, like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, right? Like, you
Yeah.
and I, even if we're uncomfortable in social situations, we will try to communicate, try to be with what's going on. And I feel like Michael just like shuts down and
Yeah.
isolates and either goes on his phone. He also is, I love you, Michael, if you're listening to this, but you do not pick up on social cues. I love you, but you don't. You've really got to work on that, bud.
Hiding behind a screen for so many years.
Yes, yes. You learn that with life experience, and I feel like he's missing that.
I think a lot of people his age, like I don't want Michael, I'm sorry, like I don't want him to think we're like picking him out, soloing him out.
We love
It is
you.
like a lot of people his age. You're just like,
Yes.
how are you not getting this? It's so much hate for this.
We are. Let me just clarify.
Gen
This
Z
is
is
just
gonna
for
come for us. I'm so sorry.
we love
Gen
you.
Zers, you're not all bad. I'm so sorry. This
No,
is just like the one
no,
thing that I think you are
no.
lacking.
Yeah, no. Honestly, I love I love Gen Z. In my office, I feel like you are the best clients. You love therapy. You're all for it. You express your emotions very well. So I'm down for it. Also, they're changing the workforce for more of a work life balance. And work is work. But listen, we are here for a short period of time. We got to live our lives. I'm not gonna live to
Mm,
work. Like again, we're not knocking boomers, but they work, 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 and I just think it's too much. So Gen Z, I give you credit there. Thank you for changing that for us,
but
putting your foot down.
yes, thank you, Gen
But
Z.
you also random, but they in my office they when they're like they for mental breakdown they call it a mentee bee, and I've just got to say I love it. I love it so much I use it now.
That is English. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, it was a nervy bee. Angus thongs and perfect snogging. Nervy bee.
Oh well, this they say mentee. At least in my office, they've been saying
Yeah.
mentee bee, and
Still.
I absolutely love it. You know, we love you, even though it sounds like we're knocking you. We love
I
you.
know. So true.
But yeah. So let's get back to these negative impacts. So I'm going to take it a little bit, Bridget. Just kind of, I like to tell my clients, let's just set a daily limit, right? Because most of our phones now tell us our screen time. I know
Mm.
my phone does. And honestly, if you look at it, it's a little scary. Sometimes I'm like, holy crap,
Hmm.
that's insane. I cannot believe I've been on my
So
phone that long.
depressing.
Yeah, and I'm a
Yeah.
mom. I'm like, I really need to get off this thing.
Mm.
So let's just, you can set screen limits, whether you do it on your phone that because it lets you, or you just do it yourself. You know, like, okay, I gave myself an hour, it's an hour, time to stop. Because it's a lot. You're consuming a lot, and the brain is not used to that. Never before has anyone consumed this amount of information this fast,
Hmm.
and like so much, not just positive, a lot of negative. Because that's what makes the news. That's what makes the headlines. That's what makes it catchy. So of course, there's going to be a lot of negative. It captures your attention, and because you're doing this, you know, it could lead to body image dissatisfaction, and increased risk of addiction. People have to deal with cyberbullying and harmful content. And I do want to go into the bullying a lot, cyberbullying, because I feel like when I grew up, if kids were bullied, at least you could go home.
You had an
You got
escape.
like,
Yes.
yes, you could seek refuge from outside of school. You were
Mhm.
surrounded by people that were safe, that loved you, that hyped you back up, and then, obviously sent you back out to be bullied. At least you had that. Sorry, I just that was not a funny. But now I feel like there is an increase in suicidal ideations because kids can't escape it. In fact, people are braver behind their screens and they're saying more awful things nonstop, continue at you, and it's on a public stage. People have to forget you're now being bullied on a public stage. So
Mm.
that's a lot. That's a lot for someone to take.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh, cyberbullying. I know it's been like around for 20 years now, but it is you have no refuge, you have no safe places anymore. You can be bullied 24/7, 365 around the clock, and like you said, it's on a public stage, so everything
Mhm.
just feels a bit more important. It carries a bit more weight because you're like, great, it's on the internet. Everyone can see it and it can never be really erased. So perfect. Now I'm permanently humiliated in front of uh, potentially billions of people, if the internet reached everyone.
Mhm.
Jesus. Terrible. Terrible.
Yes. I mean, in 2023, the impact of social media on teens' mental health from University of Utah's Health Feed, it has shown that young adults who use social media are 3 times as likely to suffer from depression and putting a large portion of this population at risk for suicidal thoughts and behaviors. And according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the number of suicides in females aged 15 to 24 increased 87% over the
Oh my
last 20
God.
years. And males 15 to 24 years old, the number of suicides rose by 30% in that time period.
Jesus.
Yes. And it's sad. And I was even looking up, I was reading from the Wall Street Journal that article done by Wells, Cethrin, and Horwitz. It was a recent study from Facebook. They did this themselves, their own study. Facebook knows Instagram is toxic for teen girls, company documents show. So it was its own in-depth research that showed significant teen mental health issues, and they found Instagram to have harmful effects among a portion of its millions of young users, particularly teenage girls. And it indicated that Instagram makes body image issues worse for 1 in 3 teenage girls. And among
Mm.
teenagers who reported suicidal thoughts, 6% in the US were traced back to Instagram.
Wow. This is already a time in your life. I mean, everyone knows this, but like your tween and early teen years are already a time in your life where you are finding your own self-confidence. You're going through puberty, so you're like, oh, all of a sudden I'm fat now. I have stretch marks. I have my period. Like you feel like shit. So you need to really hype yourself up and find your own voice and your own self-confidence to develop into the adult you want to be. So now let's just show literal models who edit their photos constantly in front of your eyes. Like this is just
Yeah.
no way to form your own identity and your own self-esteem.
Right. I mean, the filters alone. You get
Mm.
new filters all the time, and they're getting smarter. I mean, videos have filters now too that look so real. Some of them you can't really tell. Like, is that girl just really the prettiest thing in the world, or is this edited? Is this filtered?
Yeah, it is really hard to tell nowadays. It used to be like
Mhm.
so obvious. It'd be like, okay, you look like a pixie fairy. Nowadays, it kind of just like blurs your skin a little bit. So you're like, oh my God, her complexion
Yeah.
is flawless.
Yes. As when I grew up as a teenage girl, I thought it was hard enough with magazines and like MTV and the music videos and everything. But
Mm.
now I feel like I'm glad I grew up then and not now. I feel like now teenage girls have it way harder.
Oh God, yeah, I could not imagine. I mean, I'm a full adult who's like fully formed. I'm 29, and sometimes I'll be on Instagram and I'll fall into that trap, and I'm like, oh my God, like her body, and I'm like, you know what? This is probably edited. Like, just put the phone down and walk away.
Yes. And it's like that inner dialogue you have to have with yourself. You have to be like, enough is enough. Like, what am I doing to myself?
Mm. Well, let's
You
talk
know?
about how, like, the reach of social media, just so we
Yes.
understand, like, everyone is involved, basically. It's crazy. Billions of people on this planet, and it's like everyone's linked in here. So, Backlinko reports that in 2023, there were 4.95 billion people actively using social media in the world. Social network platforms have almost tripled their total users in just the last decade. So it is like everyone is hooked up and connected. That is where we are nowadays. That's what it feels like, at least.
Yep.
So
Yep.
social media, as we know, it's completely changed the way we interact with the world and ourselves. And it kind of just feels like we have to present ourselves in accordance with the latest trends. I think that's like the
Yeah.
hardest thing about being a teenager and growing up with it is like I have to now always be on trend. I have to post what everyone else is doing with the trendy music that everyone's doing the dance on TikTok that everyone's doing, in the clothes that are currently, trending. You always have to be on. Whereas thank God for us, I could just be like a gross little 11-year-old, like in my own house, and like no one would see me.
Speaking of
Like,
which, I
yeah.
love the videos where they're like teenagers now versus when I was a teenager, and it's like we're
Yes.
embarrassing and like dressed hideously, trying to do an awful dance, and now
Yeah.
there's like girls on TikTok who, first of all, they don't look like teenagers, which is
No,
baffling. They
I
look like they're
know.
and for predators, that's a whole other topic, dangerous, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just doing choreographed dances like they're 25 in a music video, and then there we were to like Katy Perry embarrassing ourselves with our bejeweled purses and choker
Yes.
necklaces.
So humiliating. I love looking at photos of us when we were that age because we look at nothing like the girls now who are, oh my God, it's crazy.
Oh
But good
God,
point.
no.
Predators, when we were growing up, it was like chat rooms, AIM, Messenger
Yes,
was like a big thing. And it was like,
yes,
if you're on that chat room too much, like you'll meet a creepy guy. And it's like, have we just completely forgotten that now? Like we just don't care to protect children anymore. Like you could have full access to the
right.
internet, access to 4.95 billion people of all ages, creeds, everything, and like
Hmm.
we just don't care anymore. We're like, well, she's having fun. It's like, yeah, there are still predators. Like,
Oh God, yes. Sometimes if you look under like the video of young girls, it's a sad. But as a mother, I can't help myself. I feel like I need to know what's out there. But like if you go under like a little girl like video or even a teenager just dancing suggestively, and you
hmm.
go under like they're saved, it's usually like all grown men. It's actually really
Oh my
disgusting.
God, I'm not
Yeah,
sure. I didn't know you could do
yeah.
that, but
Yes, you can.
oh
You could love it.
my
Yeah.
God,
Mhm.
that is
And
so disgusting.
for me as a mother, like that literally frightens me. This keeps me up at night, honestly. And that's why for me personally, my kids will not have social media until they're like practically 18. Like I'm not allowing
Mm.
it.
Yeah. No, I mean,
So,
you think about it, it's like all of a sudden children of basically any age, because people get phones really young now. I get it. A lot of people get phones young for safety reasons. You have like soccer practice, it gets out late, like you need a phone to call your mom, whatever. Um, but it is like giving the world to a 10-year-old and being like, yeah, you can just
yeah.
connect to adults whenever you want. Whereas we did not have that. The adults you connected to were the adults you knew.
Right. Well, I mean, come on, think about it. Like, why would you want to connect your 10-year-old to the world? Like, at 10 years old, that 10-year-old does not even know how to handle that amount of in their hands, that power. I don't know if you call it power, but like that amount of
Yeah.
access is a better word.
Yeah.
Like, that is danger. And a 10-year-old doesn't know what an adult knows. You know what I mean? Like, they don't fully understand the consequences.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh God.
It's like
Um,
when sorry, like when
no,
you're
no.
like 17
Mm.
and 23-year-old talks to you, and I remember at 17 thinking like, oh, I must be so cool, so pretty, but like you then become the 23-year-old and like that guy's a predator. Like that was disgusting.
God, I know you grow up and you're on the other side of it, and you're like, that is actually revolting. I'm sorry.
Yes, yes, it's baffling to me.
Mm. And now it's like you're putting a filter on yourself. You can obviously lie about your age. So it's like, oh no, I'm not 14. Like I'm 18. And you could
Right.
create this entire fantasy social media presentation of yourself. And I mean, yeah, if I'm a predator, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to be like, yep, sure, you're
Yeah,
18.
yeah, they want to. That's all they need. You're giving them the green light. She said it. She said she was 18. I believe her.
Oh, social media is very depressing when you think about it in terms of teenagers. But when you think about it in terms of like adults who just like, oh, it's great. Like I can meet people and have these beautiful conversations with people I never met. I can grow my business. I can, learn new recipes, new workouts, health and wellness. Like you put social media in the right hands, it is such an invaluable tool. But in the wrong hands, it is like the depths of our society, honestly.
Agreed. I mean, there's a dark web for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's bad people out there. The positives are great. Like you said, connection like no other, getting businesses out there, getting information out there, especially medical information. Great. Love that.
Mm.
But I do think we can't be blind to the negative effects. We have to kind of do something about them, or at least be aware and take action and steps to protect ourselves and our kids.
Yeah, do you think that we'll be at a point where we kind of like backtrack and, because now every kid has like a phone. Do you think we're going to completely go the opposite way and like not give our kids phones and really like limit social media interaction and really take a step back?
So I say yes, but only because of my own personal experience and like my friends around me who are also either newly mothers or about to become mothers. I already told my husband John, like our kids, the first phone they're getting is a flip phone, and it's only to contact me and their
Yeah.
dad for like or their grandma to pick them up and stuff. There will be
Yes.
no internet access on that phone.
The old clamshell.
Yes, we will, and my son, because he already sees friends with like phones.
What?
I don't, whatever.
Okay,
Yeah,
for context, people, he's going to be 5 in July for context.
yes. Anyway, so I'm like, I don't care. Because he'll ask me and he'll say, why? Like, why can't I? And I'm like, because, Jack, like, I don't need to give you an answer. The answer is no, you're not doing it. You will get a flip phone like everybody else. And that's it.
You will have a Virgin Mobile pay as you go, just like your mother did.
Literally. So actually, this conversation came up one time when our mom was over, and she said the same thing you did. She was like, your mother had it and so will you.
Yep, there we go. Pay as you go. Remember, we did chores to earn our like $20 to add the top up to get the text.
Yes,
good time.
Typical Jerry fashion. She's like, now what chores did you do to earn those texting privileges this week?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but I need to call you. What if I'm lost? Well, if you didn't do your chores, you're not going to be calling me.
Let me tell you, that was a good motivator. Like the second my texting like limit came, I'd be like, what chores do you need around the house?
You want us to scrub the grout? You got it. By the way, that's a whole other time.
We have grout stories. Any other strict mothers out there?
Oh my God. All I'm saying, Jerry, if you're listening, is I remember Longbow Key.
I knew you were going to say that. Hey girls, we're going on a vacation.
This way, now we got to tell the story, okay? This woman tricked us. It said, you were going on a girl vacation. We were, and at the time, like my mom didn't take us on many vacations. It was really like adults only because, it's expensive and we're a large family. So, okay. She says that to us, gets us all excited. Mm-hmm. We get there. First of all, there's no furniture, no beds, nothing. Just like
we had just bought a home. So we had just bought a new home in Florida. That's why. So she's like, we're going on a girls trip.
It was an open condo and everything was tile. Like the floor was continuous tile, never ended. Bedrooms, bathroom, kitchen, living room, all tile. And we're like, where's the furniture? And she's like, oh, well, I figured during the day we can get this house in shape by scrubbing the grout, and then at night we will sleep in these sleeping bags on the tile floor to prepare us for the next day.
We went to the Walmart remember like a super Walmart or whatever they're called, and we got these like little mats to sleep on, the sleeping bags, and literally, that was our job. It was a new part of the tile that we would scrub the grout all day, and then we would like get dinner, and she'd be like, isn't this fun? And we're like, this is not vacation. I think you were like 10. When did we buy that? We bought that a long time ago. You were like 10 or 11, so I was like 8.
No, it was child labor, and it just really fits our mom's personality. Like, go figure, like, we go on a vacation, in quotes, air quotes here, and we just scrubbed grout for, like, all 4 days. Like, I remember leaving and being like, I'll never scrub a grout floor ever again.
I know, that haunted you for, like, 2 decades. I remember you'd always be like, no more grout! Oh, actually, no, that was a bit of a vacation for us. If you remember correctly, thank God we're adults now. This would get Jerry in so much trouble. So honestly, I was so young that I was like, I'm just happy to be in Florida, and like, we just bought a summer house. Yay. So Jerry bought like a little 6-pack of like low alcohol wine coolers, because I guess she figured like after a long day of scrubbing, like I'll have a wine cooler and go to bed, And we assumed they were soda, so they were in the refrigerator, and she went out for like a walk and was like, I'll be right back. So we were like in the kitchen alone, and we're like, ooh, Mom bought soda. Mind you, like we did not have soda growing up. That was like a no-no in our house. So we were like, oh my God, it's like bright orange. We still remember what it's called, Peach Fuzzy Navel. Remember that,
Seagrams, right? Seagrams.
Yes, and we were like, oh my God, it's like bright orange. Like, is it orange soda? And you're like, yeah, I think so. So we cracked them open, started drinking them. I'm like 8, you're like 11. and we're fully drinking wine coolers. And she comes home and is like, "Who drank this?" And we're like, "We did. We stole some sodas."
I'm laughing about it, but like, as a mother, oh god, no, oh god.
I definitely have permanent brain damage. I blame the peach fuzzy navel.
Let me tell you though, I didn't feel so bad about getting down and scrubbing those floors after those peach fuzzy neighbors.
I know. I think we got a lot sloppier.
I was like, screw it, screw these
That
tile floors.
that was so wild. Now that I'm an adult, I'm looking back on that. I'm like, she must have been panicking.
She's
I
like,
know.
they're fine. They'll scrub it out.
I know.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
that's a funny thing too. She's like, "All right, keep going."
She treated us like day laborers. She's like, all right, that was your break. Let's go.
Yeah, I had a cold one. Keep going. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, Jerry, but that story is too funny, like not to tell. I always think
Oh
about
my
that. I'm like,
god.
that is wild. Like we didn't have sips. Like we were like, all right, crack them open. Let's have a soda. Like we drank the thing. I think we had one each. My god.
I'm pretty sure I had like two, Bridget. I had like they were good. They were tasty.
I kind of remember us having multiple as well. I didn't know if I was exaggerating, but you were older, so you'd remember. Like I remember her coming home and being like, "Half of these are gone."
Yeah, no, it was a 6-pack and half was gone. I think you had one and I had two, and that would be half a
Yeah.
six. I'm pretty sure she was freaking out.
Yeah, she
Anyway,
was
that was our
nervous.
story. We have plenty of those.
We do.
And
Oh, I have
yeah,
so many more. Anyway, we can get back to our topic. We're getting back on topic. Okay. So much like the whole TikTok ban, which is, everyone's talking about it. Last year, everyone knows, I'm sure, Instagram like suppressed how many likes you can see. And some influencers
yes.
were actually upset about it, I think, because that's how they track their engagement. Maybe I'm not sure. I'm not an influencer. I'm so bad at social media, but it's just to combat the negative feelings associated with your content popularity. It was like a huge shift for social media to even admit this, because usually they kind of like brush under the rug, I think, their negative impact on people's anxiety
Yeah.
and depression and self-perception. I mean, personally, I think it was a great move. It's just like people engage with it. You don't need to know the numbers. I don't need to know the views. If I use social media for my business, I can then do a deeper dive into my own profile and I can find all that out. I can find the specifics of my engagement out. But I don't need to like scroll and be like, "Oh my god, she got 5,000 likes and I got 142." Like I don't need that every day.
No, I agree. I would say though, taking those away, it helps, but not overall with now kids are it's not really even the likes anymore for them. It's like, wow, that girl's so pretty, or look at her body shape, or look at this person whose parents are so rich she has a private jet and she's always going on vacation. It's like the lifestyle that the kids are getting. It's like, yes, that helps because of course likes and followers, hits that dopamine, but
Yeah.
it's still only a piece of the puzzle, just a piece.
So right. Dopamine, perfect segue. Let's talk
Yeah.
about why we keep going back to social media. Why do we doom scroll? Why do we pick it up? Literally 5 minutes later, you have that weird itch you can't scratch again. You're like, I gotta look at Instagram. It's because these social media platforms use us. They use our brain's reward system to keep us literally addicted. So when you log on and you scroll, you see if you see things that make you happy, the same things that you like, it releases dopamine in our
Yeah.
brain. So it's a neurotransmitter. It's associated with feeling good. It's all about pleasurable feelings, like when you eat really good food, when you have sex, when you hang out with your friends. All these positive experiences release dopamine, and it's that feel good instant, like, ooh, I like that. So we subconsciously chase that dopamine hit again and again with different things in our lives, especially social media, because it's in our hands. You could do it all the time. You could feel good all the time if you just open the app one more time. So it makes
Yeah.
scrolling so difficult to walk away. And same thing, you get that dopamine high when you post something and you know it's going to get liked, or you know it's going to get viewed. You don't know how many times, and you don't know when. When will the next
Yeah.
like strike? You don't know, and that releases so much dopamine. It's this reward to the engagement, and it makes you go back and keep checking. Did I get another like? Oh, did someone comment? Oh, they completely use our brains against us and
Yeah.
make us addicted.
And on that topic, they are very smart, like the algorithm. So everyone doesn't have the same feed. the algorithm makes it so whatever's on your feed, it knows you so well. It
Mhm.
knows things you like, it knows things you're interested in, and what maybe like you strive to, if you're, you're on a fitness journey or whatever, and it puts those on your feed on purpose. It's to keep you there, keep you locked in.
Mhm. And it does. Oh my, I think TikTok is like known for that, right? Like they just keep
Yeah.
showing you videos that have already you engaged with and you like, so
Yeah.
they know you like it. They know you're not going to put the
Yeah.
phone down.
Yeah. That's their purpose, because they're making money if you're stuck there.
Is wild. We're like fully into the, like growing up for us, because we remember the time like before everyone had the computer everywhere in your bedroom, and it was like one day the robots will like totally control us, and it's like we're here. We did it.
Yeah, honestly, it is wild. Like thinking what my kids are growing up in versus what you and I grew up in. It's
Mm.
it's so different. It's night and day, honestly.
It does make it's impressive the rate of learning though. Like when you see like Jack is under 5 years old. I could give him an iPad and he'd figure it out immediately. And you think like if you gave us that, we'd be like, what is this futuristic square? Like it's crazy the rate of learning. If you grow up with technology, they just adapt so quickly. It's very impressive to watch.
It is. It is. It's a little bit of the positive, I would say, but
Mm.
they're
Yeah.
at the age now where it's like I'm still monitoring everything because I'm just super, super cautious. It could get negative fast at that age. You got to be careful.
Mm. So continuing on, internet connections that we make could be good, yes, but are they replacing our real life connections? No, turns out. In 2023, Forbes reported that people aged 16 to 24 report feeling lonelier than any other age group, despite being the most connected on the internet. So that's Gen Z. So over 7% of Generation Z report feeling alone, quote, sometimes or always. So the
Yeah.
traditional way of finding your social circle is falling out of fashion. For example,
Yeah.
and this is only one example, but church attendance is in rapid decline in Western societies. And I know that like you might hear them like that wasn't my experience growing up, but for a lot of people that actually was. Like you had church friends, like you had friends in
Right.
your town who went to the same church, and maybe like you and I, Marissa, we did like remember the Easter egg hunt at St. John's every year, and we went to the family picnics. Like we actually did have friends from church for a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's just like again one example, but like just falling to the wayside. So people don't have these other outlets, and maybe it's for the best. But you no longer see groups of young teens hanging out at movies or the mall. That was so the place. So the mall itself is in decline. Nobody freaking goes shopping at the mall anymore.
No.
You
Oh.
just shop online. But these old traditional hubs for youth to meet up, like the mall and the movies, are becoming obsolete. And these were called third spaces. So it's a place that's separate from your work or your school or your home. So if you're not at work or school or you're not at home, you have these third spaces like the cafe at the library or the cafe at the Barnes and Noble, the mall, the pretzel shop, just roaming around. Like you have these things, and now nobody does these activities anymore. Everyone streams movies at home, you shop from home. Why would you go? So teens, I still go to the movies. My husband and I do, and it's always like us and people our age or older. Just FYI, like there's no youth at the movies. So
No, so sad. I love going to the
it's
movies as a kid. That's like an
yes,
experience.
every Friday night, and it was like we didn't even know what movie we were gonna see. It's like just meet there at 7, have your parents drop you off. We'll figure something to do out.
Do you remember like Cool Beans? You do Cool Beans, then the
Cool
movie, which
Beans.
everyone at Cool
Yes,
Beans was a
shout out to
coffee shop.
Tom's River people, Tom's River, New Jersey, Cool Beans at the Seacourt Pavilion. Fudge, yeah.
Pretty sure it's not there anymore. So sad. But
Hmm.
it was like what you did as a tween. Like you went to Cool Beans either before or after the movie with your
Mhm.
circle, and then you went to see a movie, and like life was great.
Yes, exactly. And it was like you didn't really need plans because part of growing up at that time was through real life experience, and when you're younger, it was through play. And now
Yeah.
children are not doing active play. And when you grow up, you're not doing real life experiences because you're learning everything through the internet. There are studies that show it does actually completely affect the way your brain develops as an adult. You never had the play, you never had the real life experience, you learn everything virtually, and it completely shifts the way you interact with people in the real world now. So it is so interesting to me. Like, we just don't have these spaces for kids to go anymore. And I don't even think a lot of people would like just drop their kid off anymore, maybe for the better. But that was
That's
like
the thing.
normal.
Like,
Even if you had your friend who had like strict parents, like she was at the movies.
yeah. Well, for me now, like I'm just very on edge just because from my own experience, I'm consuming way too much media and it's
Yeah.
kind of negative. So for me, I hear so many stories about this kid getting stolen or they're a shooting at something. So for me, like I rarely will ever drop my kids off without me staying. And even while I'm there, I feel like for me, it's not enjoyable because I'm like helicoptering them. I'm like watching them like crazy because since I have two of them, I'm like, what if I go in this direction to follow this kid and then someone swipes my other kid? Like I'm always on edge.
My God, that is literally the perfect segue to what I was going to say. So, Gen Z and beyond, like Gen Z and younger, will be the most informed generations the world has ever seen due to their constant global connectivity. But this actually does lead to more anxiety about the state of the world because you're constantly consuming, just like you said, like
Oh,
obviously news, like they love to paint the world as like it's on fire, like everything is bad. So you're constantly consuming horrible headlines, and it
yeah.
causes anxiety. You think every day like things going to happen, and you never know when it's all going to crumble around you, and the economy and shootings and everything just so negative. You just like not find any peace, and you lose
Yeah.
focus on what's happening right in front of you because you're focused about a million other things that aren't even affecting
Yeah.
you personally right now, but they might.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm a therapist and I use techniques I teach my clients sometimes to get myself recentered. And sometimes for me, it's just not enough because
Mm.
for me, it's like in the moment, like nothing is more important than my kids. So like, I'll tell myself like, I'd rather have anxiety and be on top of everything than, relax myself and then something happens because then I would never forgive myself.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think when you're hyper fixating on someone who's dependent on you, you're like, F it, like, I don't care. If something goes wrong, that's on me. Whereas a lot of people are consuming content and they're hyper fixating on things that are happening across the world. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
there's a million things happening at the same time all over the world. Like, you can't possibly like allow your brain to focus on all of it at the same time. That cannot be healthy.
It's honestly the anxiety it causes me alone is a lot.
Mm.
I mean, all I'm saying is like I was very different too than being just Marissa versus a mom. If something happens to me, fine, like I'm just me. But like now
Mm.
that I have kids, they're depending on me. If something were to happen to me, like that's an issue for them because it literally transforms their whole childhood.
Yeah, I remember the Marissa who was the wayward youth.
Listen, that could literally be a whole season, not just an episode, a whole season of a podcast of what Marissa did in high school and college. But we can save that for
I
another time.
know. Like gone is the girl who would like get in a stranger's car and like just be out all night. You were definitely a handful back then.
We'll just summarize it for the listeners that out of my mom's three children, I was the wild one. Like I was the untamed, like whatever that horse is, the stallion or whatever it is. I could, like, I could not be told no. And my mom
Mm.
said, no matter what, I was so stubborn. Like, even if it was in my best interest, she said, like, I would just do the opposite just to spite her. She was like, I
Yeah.
swear you'd spite yourself just to spite me. You're crazy. And it's true. And
You
then
are still
somehow
so stubborn. You are so
I am,
stubborn.
but like somehow I became a mother, and now I'm like, oh shit. Because if my kids did half the no, not even half, 1/3 of what I did, I would be rolling over in a grave, having a heart attack. Like Jerry, I'm so sorry. This is my public apology.
No, honestly, I would say like Jerry is so calm in any emergencies. Like the shit I'll say we, but mostly you, the shit we put her through, like any other mom honestly would have been like panicking. Like Jerry never panicked. She got revenge, but she never panicked.
No, never, never. Anyway, so yeah, no, Jerry is a saint, even though she's going to literally replay this segment of our podcast over and over again at every family gathering.
It's gonna be at her funeral.
Yeah, literally. She said I'm a saint. But no, I put her through a lot, and honestly, like I don't know how she did it. Like I was just bad. I was so like I think I because Jerry had if you know our mother, she likes structure. She's very much like a drill sergeant in the home.
Type A
And
personality, yeah.
right, but my personality is like F authority. Like you're not going to tell me, screw you. I constantly was going head to head with this woman, and I
Mm.
swear to God, she was. I don't know how she didn't say like I'm going to kill you. I'm literally going to kill you.
I know, I know. You were so dramatic as well. Was that just I I feel like that was just like the way teenagers were then, though. Because like a lot
Um,
of your friends had like similar like wild stories, and you just don't like hear that anymore. Like kids, because kids hang out usually like they play video games together online, or like they're chatting on Instagram. Like they interact so differently now. I just think that like they don't have those like borderline
yeah.
dangerous dramatic moments that we did. I don't know.
Well, I know a part of the reason why actually. I have like both obviously young clients and parent age clients.
Mm.
Now, since we're talking about internet and having access 24/7, people will use my iPhone location or the app Life 360. So when we were growing up, we could be rebellious and get away with things and try to lie because there was no like no one was like
Tracking.
tracking us.
Yeah, yeah.
So like if I say something to my mother, unless she has evidence to prove otherwise, she'd have to believe me. But like now I'll have clients come into my office being like, yeah, like I lied to my mom. I don't know why. I was so stupid because obviously she has my location. So she called me screaming saying she saw where I was, she's outside, get in the car. So they can't get away with anything nowadays. There's no point in lying and being rebellious
Mm.
because the parents know exactly where you are at all times.
This is my very unpopular opinion. I do not give a fuck about Find My Friends. I'm sorry. Like I literally only use it if like my husband's really late from work and I'm like I'm about to put chicken in the oven and I really need to know like is he close enough that I should start the oven or
Yeah, I
am
know
I
what you're
waiting 10 minutes like cuz like
I love
that is such like that is how rarely I use it. I know that sounds so lame, but it's I get home from work before him, so like I'll start the chicken. That's how pathetic is my life.
so no, that's fine. I will say, when I was in your situation, like married, no kids, I completely agreed. Didn't need his location, didn't give a crap. I was like, don't need that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But now with kids, I gotta be honest. The anxieties these children have given me about like constantly worrying about them being safe, like I gotta be honest, I will absolutely be tracking them as teenagers. I will always want their location. I'm sorry, kids. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess what I would do is I would have it in case of an emergency, but I wouldn't check it for no reason. Whereas a lot of people like are live tracking. I've seen it. They like live track their family members,
Right.
not even their children, like just friends, family members. Whereas I think it's great to have it for an emergency. So you can be like, this is their last known location, police officer, help
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
But like, I don't think I would be like a serial checker. I just don't. I'm so bad
Well,
with
no.
technology.
Yeah. I wouldn't serial check it, but what I mean is like if my daughter grows up and I know she's a little wild, right? And she's
Mm.
like, "Hey, I'm going to a sleepover." I'm definitely going to make sure she gets there safely on the map.
Yeah.
Now, if I check and I see she's lied, you best believe I'm getting in the car and tracking her down. And if I see it and she hasn't lied, then I probably won't check it the rest of the night because I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, she
Yeah.
you know what I mean?"
Yeah, I agree with
But
that. Yeah. I think
so,
that's the way to play it. Yeah.
yeah, like it's also really obviously dependent on each child's personality because there's some kids that they're not really rebellious, they're very introverted homebodies, they don't go out much, so like for them like there'd be really no need to be on top of that. But there are
Mm.
rebellious kids and kids that like to party and kids that like to go out and they know their parents won't like it so they have to lie. So like if I have a kid like that, I'm gonna be on top of it for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's all about knowing your child, obviously, and knowing what's best for your family. That's 100% true. You and I grew up with
Mhm.
different rules because you were a bit rebellious. I was less so. So it's about knowing your child, knowing the limits they're willing to push, and doing what's best for their safety. Yeah, you're right.
You know what's ironic? She was so busy keeping me, because I was so rebellious. She was trying to protect me from all the bad of the world and, the teen pregnancy and everything. But what actually got me to settle down was kids. So probably teen pregnancy would have calmed me the hell down.
Oh my God. Wow. Do not take that as advice, people.
No. Oh God, no. Has heard in our second podcast episode, unless you're in a loving relationship and financially secure, do not have kids.
Oh my god, that's so funny. It's like, yeah, people are gonna listen to this podcast and be like, yeah, maybe I should just go get knocked up.
I'm pretty sure that we keep saying such opposite perspectives that these people are like, are they on drugs? Like, are they cracked out of their mind on this podcast?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
You heard it here, people. Mercer says to combat teen rebellion.
No, 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 no.
Oh god, that is so funny.
But yeah, no.
Okay, I have like such an interesting little factoid that I learned while doing some
Sure.
research for this podcast. So Forbes reported about I don't know if anyone else has heard of this. It was new to me though. It's called I'm going to butcher this. I'm really sorry. It's Japanese. Hikikomori. So it's a phenomenon in Japan where young people are withdrawing from society in search of extreme social isolation. And according to the Japanese government, there are at least 1.5 million known hikikomori, but experts think it's way higher than that. And other East Asian countries like Korea, they've resorted to, quote, rent-a-family services to provide the, quote, illusion of warmth, as well as paying young recluses to leave their home, because
Wow.
that is like I don't want to say like the decline, but basically the decline of youth engaging with each other in real life. So people aren't making their own families, they're not coupling up, they're not living together, they're not having children. So because of that, they like you can rent a family and like feel that warmth of a family and coming home to that. How wild.
That is wild. Wow. Yikes. Because I
Ah,
feel like they're a little bit ahead of us in like the technology kind of consuming life.
yes, exactly.
Um, so like, is that our future? Like, we probably should do something about that before
Yes.
we are there.
Yeah, that's what people are saying. They're kind of like look to the east as like what our potential future could be. Like, is this where we want to be, where people don't actually like know how to form intimate relationships and you need to hire someone just to be in your own feelings?
Yeah, that's for as a therapist, that makes me so sad because I mean feelings are a big part of like the human experience and they're important and they let our body know something like why are we experiencing anger? Why are we experiencing sadness? Like they are telling us something.
Mm.
And if we are, kind of tone deaf to our feelings, I can't see that being good. I'm sorry.
No, that is so interesting to me. And I feel like, I mean, I don't know, obviously, but I feel like that all happened really quickly. Like where we got from
Yeah.
point A to point B, hiring families, like boom, in an instant.
Yeah. Honestly, that went really fast.
No, it is a bit scary. Like I know personally, okay, this is just my personal opinion. I don't want to be in a world where I think that like my children can't make real human connections and they feel so alone. They're willing to, pay for
Mhm.
services like that just to feel the warmth of another human. That makes me really sad.
It does. That is really sad, to be honest.
Yeah,
So
something to think
thank you
about.
for thank you for putting us on a depressing note, Bridget. Just kidding.
I know. I'm sorry. I know my news only gets more depressing because then we're going to talk about social media affecting physical health.
Okay.
What
Well,
do you have
take
to
it away.
go? You could go though.
I was just gonna say mine's really quick. I will see clients come in and they want to reprocess their negative thinking patterns, retrain their brain so they can be less negative, more positive. And I have to just be real with them because they're doing like the homework I give them, the coping mechanisms and everything. But what they're failing to realize is if you're spending a large part of your day on social media, that is, impacting your progress. Like you're not going to be able to get the overall result you're looking for because if you are constantly consuming negative things or just things that make you feel bad about yourself because you
Mm,
are idolizing whatever it is you're looking at, that is training your brain. Like it's kind of going against everything you're learning in therapy. So
mm-hmm,
I just very honestly tell them like we're going to decrease the screen time. Like let's see what happens. Let's really track this. And it's very helpful because then you're not constantly on your phone seeing all the stuff that you don't realize throughout the day, but makes a big deal on the way that you think and see the world.
Yeah, completely agree. If you're constantly like you're putting the work in, but then you're almost undoing the work by looking at things and
Yes.
comparing, and it's a subconscious thing. You're not, you can't help
Yes.
it. Your brain just does it. You're compared to the people you see online, undoing all the effort you put in, basically. That's what it seems like, at least.
Yeah, for sure. So it's something to keep mindful of if anyone is in therapy and they're working on like retraining your brain and you have negative thinking patterns. Just be aware, like checking social media is a big part of that, and like what you're consuming.
Definitely. Now we know, obviously, checking social media causes these feelings of anxiety and low mood, depression. So, how does it affect our physical health? Well, digital interactions do not replace physical interactions. And we know this because since the boom of social media, people report feeling lonelier. Loneliness contributes to physical ailments as well as psychological ailments. So, because of this
Hmm.
mind gut connection, people who struggle with anxiety and depression can also see this manifested as nausea, headaches, muscle tension. You're constantly tense, tremors, palpitations, your heart's racing. So, all of these things, especially anxiety, manifest themselves as physical symptoms as well. And that's why, when people have a panic attack, they think they're having a heart attack. So, because of the rise of digital interactions versus real life interactions, people are also more immobile. We can sit down at a computer all day long for work. We can order our groceries online, hang out with friends on social media. You could potentially never leave your house if you didn't want to. So, young people aren't getting up, they're not getting out, they're not commuting places. I mean, when we were kids, we'd ride our bike all over town, we'd walk to the neighbors. Like, people just aren't doing that. People aren't going for a walk or a bike ride anymore. They're not
Hmm.
seeing their neighborhood friends anymore. And a lot of that, I will say, is because the world doesn't seem like such a safe place anymore. So you don't just let your kids go out. Like, we grew up, like, and I know maybe our mom was a bit too lenient with us. Like, we essentially were like children raised in the 70s. Like, we were just like, bye, mom. And like, we're gone all day.
Yeah, no, we
Like,
we really
yeah.
played at the park at the neighbor's house. We saw her like at night at bedtime. That was it.
Yeah, like we would, especially in the summer, like we were literally out of the house all day. And remember when we got to the age where we're like, we want to be inside and like watch TV? She locked us out of the house.
She walked us. She's like, "Get out of here."
Yeah, literally locked us out of the house. I was like, nope, have fun outside. And I totally get it. Like, young people maybe just cannot be raised that way anymore. But because of that, people are more immobile. And
Mhm.
immobility, we know, leads to obesity, heart disease, diabetes. Like, in 2022, less than half of people ages 18 to 25 exercised just once that week. Once that week,
Wow,
18 to 25, young people. Yeah,
wow,
it is wild. More than half of Gen Z adults, so it's about 56% of Americans aged 18 to 25, are overweight or obese, according to the CDC.
that's crazy. Wow.
And yeah, it's just, I assume it's just the sedentary lifestyle change that we're all part of. And I know we've been sedentary for a while. We're not our ancestors who, moved constantly,
Yeah.
walked 15 to 20 miles a day. We're so far from that, but we
Yeah.
are getting more sedentary. So, due to the lack of social interaction outside of a computer, Gen Z, so this is a good thing for them. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Gen Z are engaging in less risky behavior. Like, we,
Yes.
partook in sexual activity, smoking cigarettes, experimenting with drugs, drinking alcohol. Gen Z is actually doing so much less of this that, sure, that will keep them physically healthier. And that is a really good positive actually about this, that, they're meeting up online more. So they're not doing these like sketchy, like woods parties and stuff like that that we had as teenagers. But these
Hmm.
activities, although unhealthy, okay, but they
Hmm.
are a coming of age experience classically associated with youth. It's something that almost every generation up until Gen Z experience. Different countries, different languages, completely different time period, yet every coming of age experience circled around those specific things. And it's because of peer pressure and societal expectations. But Gen Z have almost removed that phenomenon because they're not having those real life experiences. So, is it good? Is it bad? Obviously, it's great that they're not taking random substances and like getting drunk in a park somewhere. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
that's
Totally.
amazing. But they're also not having those classic coming of age experiences associated with adolescence. So, will that affect the way they mature? I don't know. I mean,
We'll have to
we
see.
need more data and it needs a bit more long term looking at.
Yeah, we're about to find out.
Exactly. Yeah, we are about to find out. Like, will they? You know, when you like go to college and like there's that girl on your floor who like grew up in a really strict like religious household. She's like, I've never touched alcohol, and then like she goes absolutely buck wild her first semester. Is
Yes.
that going to be like all Gen Z?
I guess like as yeah, they'll be partaking as a group. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like absolutely wild.
Oh my goodness. Maybe honestly. God. I'm a little scared for when my kids get to that age. Oh God.
I know. Like, if you just never had that like peer pressure or like because part of adolescence is experimenting, and I know that like you shouldn't, but every parent knows you are, and it's just part of raising a child. Like, you know that you
Yeah.
have to do it. It's how you make informed decisions later on as an adult, and it's like if you don't do that at all, I don't know, I think eventually you will.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was obviously like I said, we grew up so different, so it's hard to even picture what will happen and how it'll play out, and it'll be different for everyone. But that's crazy.
It's very interesting to think about. I love talking about stuff like this.
Me too. We'll have to maybe do another episode of Marissa and Bridget's crazy adventures. Let us know. Do you want to hear how crazy we were? Woo!
Yeah, let us know in the comments because I have stories about Marissa.
That'll be an episode we'll have to like invite mom onto because I'm sure she's got her own memory and version of
Oh
events.
my god. I remember like when we were like peak wild, that's like when Facebook was cool. So it was like
Yes.
we were like our own demise. You'd like post a whole album for a party you went to that Saturday, and it was like I can see what you're posting. It's like, why did I get myself in trouble? Like, why did I just post 57 pictures of a party on a Friday night?
And like, why were we so like attention seeking? The lyrics you'd post under it because it
Oh
was
my god.
definitely geared towards like a boy. You were like, oh God, broken hearted.
Oh
Like,
my god, so cringy and so true. Or like your aim away message would be like something so dramatic, like Papa Roach lyrics.
yes, yes. Like it had to be like uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, the
Yes,
whole.
yes, and then like heart, 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 heart. Oh
Yes. Well, and for
my
you
god.
younger generations that don't know what AIM is, you see, text messaging wasn't so. Not everyone had a BlackBerry. Okay, we didn't have that, so we had to use AIM to message people outside of school when we wanted to communicate.
Yes, AOL instant messaging. It was a good time.
We should bring that back. See what hames.
Oh yeah, we should go back to the old like one computer in the house that everyone has
Yeah.
to
Well.
use.
Wait. Lovely. God.
Going
But
off the
yeah.
grid.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So yeah, maybe if anyone has any ideas, obviously Bridget and I love to plan our episodes out. But if anyone suggests anything that they'd like to hear us, ad lib about, you just drop it in the comment or email,
Mm-hmm.
and we will absolutely make it happen because we love to people please. Just kidding.
Yeah.
That's Schmitterums.
Well, really, let us know what you want to hear. Give us the good, the bad, the ugly. Like, are we completely off base here? Are we hitting interesting topics for you? Just let us know.
Yes, please.
Just like to say that I'm sorry I'm not as like fun because our first episode was hilarious. We were like so tipsy, and now I'm pregnant and it's lame. But don't worry, guys.
Well, what I would like, let me just add to that though. Like, for instance, like I thought this episode was a little bit like the first one. I think what happened with the second episode is not just the lack of alcohol. I swear we're fun without it. We're not crazy. It's just that was a very heavy subject, and
Mm-hmm.
infertility is hard on a lot of people. And I think we were just trying to make sure we remain, the right composure and were appropriate and took that subject seriously.
Yeah.
So yes, you will probably see us super fun on most, but if it's like a serious subject that is affecting a lot of people, we tend to not. We don't want to take it lightly. We don't want to mock that and their experience.
Yeah, exactly. It was a heavy topic last time. You're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we're still here. Psychotic pussy.
Psychotic pussy. Over and out.
Over and out.